What's up, guys? So, in today's video, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of house hacking, why it may or may not be for you, um, what's good about it and what's not so good about it, and as well as some of the things I've learned along the way from doing it for the past 5 years and what my next steps are going to be. So, for those of you that don't know what house hacking is, it's basically purchasing a single family home or a duplex. And then, if you're in a single family home, you live in one of the rooms and you rent out the other rooms. And it helps you, pay off the equity as well as get some of the appreciation. And if you're renting, obviously there's benefits to owning and being able to have some of it go towards the equity. Um, in a duplex, it's you living in one of the homes and then renting out the other one. I've never owned a duplex. I could see why that might be even easier, but there's not many where I'm at. So I'm just going to talk about the pros and cons of you know living with other roommates. Being a landlord basically. I'm I'm not gonna lie. Like the financial benefits are real. You you do build equity and appreciation, and my house is probably my biggest source of wealth right now. So that is real. But what most people gloss over or don't talk much about are the realities of living with other people. So you know for the most part it's pretty good, but you don't always know who you're renting to on day one. Everybody is you know the friendliest they're ever going to be when you first meet them, but sometimes that changes over time. And I've had roommates who have had like who I didn't know but have had drug addiction issues, and who have ruined some of the rooms where I've had to like completely replace the carpet. And when it's the place that you're living, it can really ruin your peace and your peace of mind, which is just not fun, and it can be like get old after a while. So I'm kind of at a point where I I definitely don't want to have roommates forever, because then every once in a while you go through these undesirable situations that are just not good for your peace. And my home is a temple of peace for me, so I don't want to have to deal with that forever. I think if you can like manage that and you're okay with knowing that that's a possibility, then it's one way to do it. So I'm actually shifting into a different direction, and I've kind of realized that um, the true life hack is just to have less bills and expenses, and to minimalize, because the more things that you have, the more things that you have to manage, the more stress is in your life and the more responsibilities you have. So my plan is to actually move into like a travel trailer, and to rotate between different free BML land, and use different very cheap alternatives like that, because I've done the math, and actually I pretty much break even, between house hacking versus just living in like a paid off travel trailer for free. Now, I know there's like a few extra responsibilities, but you can really set those up pretty nicely, with your solar, and build out your systems well enough to where you don't have to like, run into town like every day. But what I'm saying is that it's really about minimalism. Like you can pretty much when you move into an RV or your car, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have rent, and you can still choose to continue to make uh, the same amount of money that you were, or you don't have to have the stress always that you need to make a certain amount of money every week, or else you're going to lose your house. So there's flexibility and peace of mind in that if anything happens, like you're most likely going to be good, you know? And I think the main benefits to not having a house and moving into an RV is the less clutter in your mind and the health benefits to minimalizing. Instead of having that money every month get locked up into equity that you can't use, you can have the flexibility to have that money come straight to you to where you can either invest the difference or save the difference or pay off your debts. Um, you know, you just have a lot more flexibility in what you can do with the in case something happens and you don't want to work or you want to take more time off. So or maybe you want to work a less stressful job, like your expenses are not the same. Now I know that most people who are trying to house hack are trying to like maximize their wealth, whereas a lot of people in the RV community or van life community are just trying to minimize their expenses so that they don't have as many responsibilities and as much stress in their life. And I think you have the choice between the two. You can still have the same benefits to house hacking with an RV, except for the money goes to you instead of your equity, and it's not locked up. It's liquid, but you can choose to continue to work full time and choose where that money goes rather than it just being illiquid. Or you can work less because you don't have as many bills and maybe you can travel more. So it's just the flexibility as well as not having the responsibilities and the headaches that come with house hacking sometimes. So this is just my experience, and I know other people have had experiences, and they're mainly more to do financially. I haven't had too many of those issues financially. Mine has just been more peace of mind sometimes. Now I've had amazing roommates, but I've also had roommates that have just like caused me weeks of losing sleep. So just realize that there's always a trade-off, there's always a compromise. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave some comments in the comment section and follow along on my journey. Have a great one. Peace.